I feel perfectly safe, but I'm not playing left field or right field or center field in front of the bleachers for the other team.
It's the Inside Scoop. It is powered by MLB Rivals. Ken Rosenthal with us right now. He's been covering the series for Fox and for The Athletic and joining us. And there you go, the QR code for MLB Rivals if you want it. But Ken, let's get the big Game 5 preview. What are you expecting here with a really classic matchup? Internationally, this is really cool to have Yu Darvish against Yoshinobu Yamamoto and, of course, Ohtani in this series too.
That part of it alone is really cool. I don't know that it's the focus of most fans. Most Dodger fans and Padre fans just want to see their team win, and they're not so intrigued by the matchup of two Japanese pitchers, historic though it may be. What is interesting to me about this game is that we really don't know what the Dodgers are going to do with their pitching. We know that they're going to start Yamamoto and hope for maybe 3 innings from him. And we know they're going to go to some variation of a bullpen game at that point. I guess what I'm saying is we don't know how successful this plan is going to be. Yamamoto has had great problems against the Padres this season, going back to the first series in Korea. He has not been consistent. He's a guy that, in my opinion, is a bit of a wild card right now. Their bullpen, really good, but the Padres saw all those guys the other night. I understand that if you're really good, you can still get guys out a second time, but having those looks, of course, helps. So that's the big question for me, how the Dodgers are going to navigate this again. They did it brilliantly in Game 4. Can they do it again in Game 5? And then with Darvish, it's really interesting, guys. On 4 days rest, which is what he'll be in this game, he has not been as good this season, not been as good over the last couple of years. The Dodgers did hit some balls hard in Game 2. It was not like they got totally dominated, even though it was a line of 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run. They feel that they can maybe build on some things from that game. So I don't know where this ends up. I would say that on paper, the Padres have the advantage. They have a starting pitcher who is quite experienced in this kind of format. They have a rested bullpen, and they have, of course, a powerhouse offense. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head there, to be honest. I'm looking at some numbers here. Yamamoto, 6.00 earned run average through the first 3 innings of games, 296 average against from hitters. If I'm Dave Roberts, am I second guessing this decision, or is it the guy, hey, listen, I got nobody else. It's either going to be a bullpen day or him?
Well, one thing about this, Todd, is that they don't feel they can cover 9 innings with a pure bullpen game again. They did it the other night because Landon Knack pitched the 9th. They just don't feel comfortable, even with a day's rest, going about it that way. So they need some help from either Yamamoto or Flaherty or both. And maybe it is both in the end. But that's the reason why they're doing this. Now, whether it works or not, that remains to be seen. And I would imagine, we know this, that the moment Yamamoto is in trouble, he's out of there. And whether it's Flaherty who has to bridge the gap or does it later after a couple of relievers come in, I don't know, but they're not going to mess around here. And if Yamamoto doesn't have it tonight, he's going to be out of the game.
Ken, normally in years past, I would have said this is a Dodgers easy win because I wouldn't have taken Yu Darvish to pitch a big game on Mars, forget on Earth, because just having seen his history and knowing him a little bit. But he's kind of changed a little bit. He's kind of flipped the script on that. And when you talk to him, he's a different person than he was a few years ago. Like, remember 2017, he started Game 7, and remember he was tipping and that whole thing. So how big of a game is this for Yu Darvish to pitch himself? Because they need him to give them some innings.
I would say it's a big game for him for sure, simply because it's an elimination game.
But no, I mean personally, I'm talking more like his legacy, right? Because he was like the first Japanese guy to come over and strike out everybody, and he was like the mega star on the mound, right? I know some other guys came before him, but he's never really had that moment, right, in the playoffs where everyone's like, oh, he's a guy.
No, that's a great question. And I would say if he pitches well tonight and they win, that certainly enhances his legacy. Now, of course, they'd move on to another series where he'd have a couple of more opportunities. But 2017 Game 7, in addition to the tipping, there was the question of what the Astros were doing in that game, right? Because that was the year of the sign stealing, the most prominent year of it. So I don't hold that against him, but certainly fans remember it, and I'm sure he remembers it too, though he said yesterday that was a long time ago. This, I'm sure, means a lot to him. He's had a difficult year, of course. He was on the restricted list with a personal matter for quite some time. He had an injury that kept him out. He's 38 now. There probably aren't that many hurrahs left for you, Darvish, even though he's signed for several more years. So I would imagine from his perspective, AJ, that yes, this is a meaningful game. I don't know if I would call it a legacy game. I don't know that players look at it that way. You guys could tell me better than I would think. But yeah, it's a meaningful game in his career. No doubt about that.
We kind of said it a little bit earlier. Can you grade Shohei Ohtani's postseason so far? Because we haven't seen it before in two categories: playing, because we have numbers, but also the emotions that you've seen from Shohei, because you're down there, you're on the field, you're close to it.
He's into it. There's no doubt about that. And we've seen him be more emotional starting the last week of the season. Remember that series against the Padres? They were all more emotional. And it's hard to hit in the postseason. The pitching is that much better. So obviously, we've had a situation in the game where Aaron Judge has struggled in the postseason, Mookie Betts until the last couple of games. This happens. And I always remember going back to Barry Bonds 2002. The lesson that we all learned then, or should have, I guess, is that you give a great player enough chances, he's going to succeed. Now, it might not be this postseason in a monster way for Ohtani, but I would expect he's going to have a good game tonight, and I would expect if they go on, he'll be fine.
Going into Dodger Stadium, do you feel unsafe? Jeremiah Estrada said that they shouldn't even take the games back there because of how bad it is. We're just watching on TV. Your boots on the ground. Do you feel safe in Dodger Stadium? And is it maybe a little bit blown out of proportion what 3 to 5 fans have done?
I feel perfectly safe, but I'm not playing left field or right field or center field in front of the bleachers for the other team. And that's the real question here. Is it safe for those guys? And the other night, game 2, it was not safe. Things were being thrown, and it was completely uncalled for and unacceptable. Now, as you said, Eric, it's probably just a handful of people. So I'm hesitant to condemn any fan base for the actions of a few. It's kind of ridiculous to do that. And I am quite certain that security tonight will be tight and that hopefully the game will go off without a hitch as far as that kind of thing is concerned.
Ken, quick follow-up question on that. I know you were there and I'm just listening on TV, and I've been to games where there's been a little bit of action from fans and you've got to address it, right? And it can be difficult. There's a ton of fans. Like, you got to find out who did what. They try and throw something and then just kind of sneak back in. Luckily, people take cell phone footage, but that's after the game. My problem was I heard the announcement from the PA system and they're being told what to say. I didn't feel like it was forceful enough. Is that weird to say? But I called it out.
No.
They were like, you might get ejected if you do what. No. It's got to be like, hey, fans, we can't do this if you're doing this, and you will get kicked out and maybe prosecuted. I felt like it was a really soft call out, and they need a new script.
In fact, the Padres thought it was too late. It didn't happen quickly enough, and they didn't mention that it was forceful or not forceful enough. But I'm with you, Scott, and there can be no messing around here. There has to be a forceful statement right as soon as this kind of thing starts, and you got to get right with it. So your perception there, I don't believe is off. Certainly the Padres were concerned that things did not happen forcefully enough or maybe even quickly enough. So again, I do expect it's going to be better tonight. And my goodness, we've got a game 5 here. We've got kind of the peak of the sport. 2 amazing teams. You would hope that the focus is simply on the field.
Yeah, let's play ball. So is Freddie Freeman going to play? And if not, this is important. If not, because I know you've seen him and I'm sure he's going through it right now. Could he appear as a pinch hitting weapon at some point in this game?
My expectation is that he is going to be in the lineup, but it is day to day with him. And he might wake up today and it's not good. It's not just the ankle. It's an issue in his side as well. He's been wrapped after games. So it's been a struggle for him to get on the field. There's no question about that. And he is not the same Freddie Freeman. He can't move at first base and obviously running the bases the way he normally would. So we'll see what he can give tonight, but I imagine that he'll be in there. And if he's not in there, sure, Scott, he can definitely be available to pinch hit. One thing to watch is whether it compromises them defensively, because Freddie Freeman cannot move laterally the way he normally would. And who knows, one ball getting through in an elimination game, that might be enough.
Yeah, that's all it takes. Backtracking just for a moment, because we haven't spoken to you since the last game. easy to look back now, but were you curious about Dylan Cease going in that game? And then, clearly they didn't have a plan to have him go long. And then they have him face Ohtani. That was the big part where I was confused.
Yes.
I'm like, why let him go against Ohtani again? Like, if you're going to remove him, if you're like batter to batter, this is the batter to remove him for. I know it was early in the game. It was a blowout, but, every at-bat and matchup and decision matters.
Scott, a lot of us had the same question. If you're going to start him, okay, but at that point, he's out. Morejon has to be in the game. He wasn't. Mike Shildt said afterward that he still likes Cease's stuff. I guess what else is he going to say? But that was a serious question. Now, as for the 3 days rest and all of that, Dylan Cease had never done it. And in my pregame hit on the field, I talked about how teams are now 64-91 since the wild card era began in 1995, including openers, when they start a pitcher on 3 days rest. 64-91. It doesn't work. It really doesn't work when you've got a guy who has never done it. Now, their logic was, and it's not entirely faulty, was that basically if they pitch Cease, they have Cease and Darvish, their two best pitchers, or two of their three, along with Michael King, to pitch the final 2 games. That's how it's worked out. Darvish is going to pitch Game 5 tonight. But I understood what they were trying to do. They wanted to go for the kill there, but going for the kill with a guy on 3 days rest is rarely a strategy that you can be confident in, and it didn't work out.
We got a problem. Half our viewers are not even subscribed. Hit the subscribe button. Do it.
We get it. Mornings are nuts. No time for breakfast, but you need to get your day started right.
What if a delicious, nutritious meal could be ready in seconds? Support for Foul Territory is brought to you by Huel, the world's #1 complete nutrition brand. With over 400 million meals sold worldwide, Huel is trusted by millions of people looking to fuel their days with convenient, complete nutrition. Try it for yourself with this exclusive FT offer. 15% off with the code FOUL at Huel.com.
You know we're all about saving time, but we get hangry, like a lot. I recently fell in love with the Huel Ultimate Super Greens Powder, which is a perfect blend of 91 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients. I also love their complete nutrition bars, and those hot and savory pouches are fire too.
FT fam, give it a shot. Get 15% off with the code FOUL at HUEL.com. Unlock a healthier, easier way to eat with Huel. Nutritionally complete meals in minutes so you can focus on what really matters. 2 more quick ones for you. So going for the kill, does Shohei Ohtani have any chance, even a 1% chance of pitching in this game for an inning late? And if not, they talked at all about his throwing progression? Like, I know he's still rehabbing as this is all going down.
They haven't talked about it, and he is still rehabbing. Of course, that has to continue. But it's funny. Yesterday, a few of us were saying that, hey, why don't the Dodgers just say he's available and mess with the Padres' heads? And I mentioned that to somebody with the Dodgers, and that person said, you guys are more devious than we are. I don't know about that, but I would still imagine if they advance that at some point in this postseason, there's a chance we would see him. They're not going to talk about it. They're not going to announce he's back until they have to. But as I wrote at the end of this regular season, right before the playoffs started, a scout I know saw him throw a bullpen, I don't know, about a month ago now, I guess it was. And the scout said he was not throwing like a rehabbing pitcher. He was airing it out and throwing like a guy who was preparing to pitch soon. We'll see.
I love it. Even just the speculation, the thought of it, of him popping up in this or in the World Series. All right. Lastly, our friend, colleague in the industry who does great work, Mike Petriello, put this out there, and it plays to what I'm thinking too. He goes, just want to make sure we're all on the same page here. If the Dodgers beat the Padres 5 games into the series, it means the bye didn't matter. But if the Padres beat the Dodgers 5 games into the series, the bye did matter. Is that right? I know how like the chit chat with other media members goes when you're at the ballpark. I've been there for years in the playoffs. I'm not there this year. So just wondering if that's gotten brought up at all. And if we can put that to bed in a series like this, where the Dodgers have had good offensive games, and also they're just running into a good team that's played well for a while now.
Yeah, I don't see it applying in this particular series. Now, I have said and will continue to say I want to see more of these outcomes in the division series to really determine whether the 162 game schedule is being honored sufficiently. This series is a little bit different. The Dodgers, one, are banged up. Freddie Freeman, Miguel Rojas, all the pitching that they've lost. It's not the same as a team coming into a division series with the bye and just having no offensive juice and kind of looking flat. The Phillies, that's sort of how they looked, but that's sort of how they have looked for the last couple of months, honestly. So I don't think it applies here, but I do still have concern, Scott, that this format, as I said, does not honor the 162 properly. We'll see. And it's too soon to draw conclusions on this. It's only the third year of this format. But it's something that baseball certainly needs to keep its eye on, because it's really important still in this sport to have the regular season be really meaningful.
Ken, you know what the record is of NL teams with the bye, right?
They
haven't won a series. They haven't won one. So the Dodgers are the shot, right? So we can put all this bye crap to bed. If the Dodgers win tonight, all the bye crap goes out the window, because the Yankees did it, right? If the Dodgers do it, and then if the Guardians do it, that's 3 of the 4, right? So no more bye, no more whining, no more boo-hoo. We got too much time off. Because if you ask the players, they all say it doesn't matter. We just need to win. I talked to the Phillies about it. They said, we don't believe in that. We're just going to try and win. They just got beat. So can we please put all that to rest? Thanks, Ken.
Okay. Thank you, AJ.
Perfect. Perfectly stated. And yes, if the Dodgers lose, then it's going to come up again in the offseason. So either way, we'll have fun with it. Media doesn't lose on this one. Ken, thank you. Have an awesome, awesome game tonight. Game 5, we will all be watching.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.